Welcome back to Racing and Rocking with Draglist.com. My name's Bill Pratt. I'm here with Danny White and, of course, George the Stone Age Man Hutcheson. And you are smack dab in the middle of this segment called Tales from the Stone Age. Tonight, joining us on Tales from the Stone Age is one of the most prolific Top Fuel racing owners in history, Frank Rootbeer Hedge. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Good evening. How are you?
Great to have you here. And George, I know that part of this Tales from the Stone Age Man is George going back and getting some of the guys who helped create the sport back in the day. Kind of want to cut you guys loose and talk a little bit about how you met and how you raced and what happened back in Southern California back in the day. So George, take it away.
Okay. All right, folk, you know that all sports, including drag racing, all sports have their special people. And I'm here to tell you that Frank Hedge is one of those special people. Now, when Frank was at the races, I witnessed this day after day after day. Frank was always happy. He always smiled. And anybody that needed help, even if it was his competition, if you needed something, Frank was there. If you needed a little help up your spirits, Frank was there. He always had a smile on his face, and he would help anybody. And it was my pleasure, folks, to introduce to you my friend and the person that I got my name from, the Stone Age Man, Frank Hedge.
Hi, George. How you doing?
Tell us how you got started.
Those years is going to grow, I'm telling you.
Tell us how you got started and tell us about yourself.
Oh, gee, I got started back in 1960. Woohoo! Yeah, with an unblown 331 cubic inch nitro-burning Chrysler and a 92-inch wheelbase Scotty Finn 440 chassis. Ran that baby on the can, and from there I moved on. And it's been never look back. Just keep moving forward.
Now, when you say running the can, what does that mean?
100% nitromethane. Take it out of the can and pour it in. That's where
right.
I started. Yeah, I've never run a gasoline car in my life, except maybe something off-road racing or something like that. But drag racing, nitromethane is the drug of choice.
So how did you meet me? How did we get together?
You know, we worked together at RCS for a while, and I met you at the races. And you come over to the house and hung out, and God, I remember you come in the house in the garage one night, and you had your head down and long face, and you didn't have a motor to put in your car to go drag race. And I looked over in the corner, and I had under the bench, I had a beater under there that was just all my used stuff. And I said, George, take that thing, put it in your car. It lives like a Stone Age man, and see what you can do with it. And you did.
So that's the genesis of the name, the Stone Age Man. We're basically talking about an old beater, nitro-fueled block sitting underneath the workbench somewhere.
Yeah, it was under the workbench. Go ahead, George.
It was a spare motor that he took with him when his major motor blew. You know, if he needed one more round, he would put that motor in it, and he would win the race or whatever. He'd make a couple more passes, put it back in the bench, build a new motor. So it was a replacement motor that had many, many runs on it. He said, George, I don't know if this is going to last long because it's got a lot of runs on it. And, of course, you know what I did? I blew the motor up. Because at the end of it,
Stone Age Man.
He kept saying, George, you killed the Stone Age Man. And my race car was unpainted at the time, and I said, put on that race car, which was painted by Bill Carter. I want the word the Stone Age Man on it. And that's how I got it.
Wow, Bill Carter, the man for painting in Southern California, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures or seen George's recreation of that. Not recreation, it's actually the old car. George didn't tell you what he did with it when he put it in the college. But that car is prettier today than it was back then. I guarantee it. And it was a pretty nice car back then.
Yeah, he was just telling us. We're looking forward to seeing that thing. Well, hey, Frank, how did you get? Now, everybody calls you Rootbeer Hedge. Tell us where you got that nickname. I mean, that's what our whole show is going to be about from ever on, is the genesis of nicknames in drag racing. So tell us about that.
When when I started drag racing, my dad worked for A&W Rootbeer. He was vice president of the company, and we had a couple of 3 drive-ins in California. And the old man, he says, "I'll buy the fuel and the tires. We'll paint it orange and put A&W on it." And I said, "Oh, okay, fine, whatever." So we painted it orange and put A&W Rootbeer on it, and I never, to this day, have put my name on a race car that I've owned.
Wow.
And everybody would ask, "Who owns that car?" "Well, that's that guy over there, that Rootbeer guy over there." That's kind of how I got the name. And
that's cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
Well, now you raced. When did you start racing? You were actually back in the early to mid '60s, right? To start.
I started in '60, and Walt Stevens and I built my first top fuel car with a blown motor in it in 1962. We ran it in '63, and I've been running front motor cars ever since. Still do. Well,
that's
I haven't in about 5 years. Yeah. I've had the old Heap parked for the last 5 years. I retired, slowed down, and started spending my money doing other things. I got to go out and get my nitro fix, and I'll go back.
Well, there's so many things to spend money on. But yeah, I know that, I'm a young guy. I'm 51. But when I first started hearing about you, I hate to admit it, was back during the nostalgia Top Fuel Dragster era. It started in the mid-'80s and continues on and is going strong. But, of course, in the standard 1320 group, everybody's, root beer. And I'm like, man, I feel crazy, stupid that I frankly didn't remember that era. But then I'm a young guy, so I'll give myself a break. Hope you will, too.
You young bucks are okay. It's okay.
Well, did you ever... Go ahead, George.
And I want to say that Frank is one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet in drag racing, and he helped everybody. I mean, that's what makes special people in special sports, and Frank is one of those special people, and the people should understand that. He is a good man.
Well, now wait a minute, George. I can tell a story here real easy about you. I can remember down at Long Beach Drag Strip when I looked up and here's this guy in this silver fire suit walking around carrying teddy bears and handing them out to young kids. Who was that? You remember?
I'm not sure. Do you?
I gotcha.
Oh, Lord.
Set that man on fire.
Awesome. Well, you guys are setting the standard. So, did you guys ever race against one another back in the day, or tell me about some on-track rivalries?
I don't recall. If we did race each other, I'd have been over helping George.
Yes, true. That's right. He's been over helping me. Right, exactly.
Well, Frank, did you ever drive any of your cars?
No. What do you think? I'm crazy?
Yeah.
You gotta be nuts to drive those things. I get scared just starting them up.
I think George has given us ample evidence of that. Well, give us a list of your guys. I mean, Walt Stevens. Who are some of the other guys who drove for you?
Who else drove for me? Walt Stevens, Neil Leffler, Bill Alexander, Tim Gibson, Troy Green, Mindy Fry. I've been fortunate and don't have that many drivers to really call out.
But, they've all done a great job. As you go through those names, I mean, in my memory, I'm hearing a bunch of winners, or certainly people who've made huge marks, on the sport.
Oh, yeah. Of all the drivers, I don't have a favorite, and they all did a great job. Even George did a great job driving that old junk of mine with my motor in it,
Yeah.
And I had my eyes shut all the time, too.
Well.
That's what Ivo told me once. He did. I just squeezed my eyes shut when I got scary.
Yeah. Look out the side in the stands and see what goes by. I had a fellow named Bob Downey. Huh?
Oh, it's fantastic. Well, let's see. So you own a bunch of cars, and you've given up on racing for the last couple of years. What are you doing to get your kicks these days for the last 5 years?
Oh, my wife's a singer, entertainer, and that's what we do. We go down in South Texas, and she sings down there for the winter snowbirds every winter, and then we come home to Oklahoma and kind of just kick it.
Oh, cool.
We're headed off here we're headed off this week or next week. Go up to Kansas and Missouri and Wisconsin and Minnesota, and then we're back home on a little road trip with the singing and carrying on.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've still got the car. It's ready to go. All I got to do is put fuel in it.
So that's great. So you haven't sold anything. You're ready to do it again whenever you get the bug.
Yeah, and then if I die, then she can sell it. Doggone it. It's all together for her.
Oh, we're not talking about that tonight.
Oh, no. It's a good old piece.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, guys, we're coming up on the hour, so I want to take a couple minutes and do some commercials, and then can you stay with us, and we'll come back and talk to you a few more minutes after this, and then bring in some of our local MIR stars who are lining up, and I'll give poor Bruce Larson. I mean, I feel so bad that he was talking this great stuff, and I apologize so much that folks couldn't hear him. So we're kind of doing this live and in person. So I'm going to share the mic with Bruce and with several other guests when we come back after the hour. But stick with us through the commercials. And Frank and George, if you hang around with us through the commercials, and we'll talk to you a little bit more when we get back on the other side. So Dustin, take us away to the hour, and then we'll do it again.
This